Hello and welcome to the series where I design Pokemon from my Southern California Pokemon region. The region I have dubbed the Dago region. Now, although mostly being based on San Diego, it is a Southern California region, which means that I'll probably go from Los Angeles all the way down to Baja California design-wise. And so this series will be basically me talking about my design inspirations for the Dago region, how I come up with these Pokemon designs, how I fit them into the real life lore, quote unquote, lore of Southern California. So this is just like a fun little side project for me to do. So with that being said, let's get on to our starters. Now when making a fire starter for a region, there's always going to be the looming presence of the Chinese zodiac theory. And you know what? Yep, I took the bait. I did the snake fire starter that everybody loves doing. Because what better represent a general reptile in Southern California than a rattlesnake? I mean, come on. And so here we have my design for Rattlet, the fire snake Pokemon. Rattlet are often seen roughhousing other Rattlet as a way to assert dominance at an early age. The rattle on the end of its tail serves as a tool to convey emotion and to comfort the Pokemon when it is alone. So when I was designing this thing, I really didn't want it to look like other people's rendition of a fire snake starter. So I had a general motif that I was going for, a card suit motif. We have the club being the rattle, the diamond being the diamondback rattlesnake it's based off of, the heart being on the tongue, and the ace of spades being the hood on its back. And so here's my first sketches of it. I really does not look like the current style because I had my sister re-render the sketch for me, the beginning sketch. So yeah, W Mickey, thanks, that's my sister. It really feels more on brand with Pokemon's design because I suck at drawing cute things, only like cool things. And so that's something you'll see later on, how the personality of the Pokemon changes with each of the starters. So when designing a middle evolution for your starter, there's a lot of ways you can go through. Usually it's a cool teenager phase or like an awkward teenager phase that they like to do. So I went with the very edgy one because to reflect the typing. Here we have Slywinder, the hooded snake Pokemon, Fire Dark type. Slywinder stalks and surprises its prey with the fire-filled fangs hidden in its mouth. As it grows, its arms are constantly writhing to be freed from its outer skin. So as you see, the card motif is actually gone. No, not gone, but there is no more heart, referencing how it's a dark type and how it doesn't really have a heart, it's more mean. And you can see that in the hoodie or the skin, there's arms that are behind its back. And I think adding on limbs is a great way to show how your Pokemon is like growing up with you. Of course, you can always make it stand on two legs to really enunciate how it, literally grows up. But I think adding another set of limbs, like arms, is a more fun way to convey that sense of growth. So here's my original sketch of Slywinder. As you can see, is very on prone with the final design. I had a lot of names going on with it, but I figured Slywinder was, it just rolled off the tongue the best. Winder, it has the eyes both in there. And so with the past final evolutions of the Pokemon games, there's always been like a theme around them. Like with the Paldea starters, you have the entertainment theme, or like the festivals, different types of celebrations. You have the Galar starters being types of entertainment, and the Gen 6 starters being RPG classes. And so when making up my theme for the SoCal region, I wanted to do a performing arts theme with my starters because I love the performing arts. And I think it'll be really fun to see the starters have such wild different personalities that the performing arts do have with each other. And so here's my design for Volconda, the magician Pokemon, dark fire type. Its hidden ability, Jump Flare. When entering battle, it burns every Pokemon and lowers their speed. When in combat, the Vualaconda will coil in a circle to disorient its attacker. This action makes the pill ball in its tail make a loud sound to further its intimidation. This Pokemon will often trick unsuspecting Pokemon for fun and even its trainers. So let's talk about this design. With most of my designs, I always do the final evolution first, and then I remove some features from it to make the other previous evolutions. And Volacanda was like almost the first Pokemon I made for this region. I gave it a gambling theme due to I love going to the casino. I love gambling. But also Southern California, or California, the state, has the most Native American owned casinos in the country. And so I looked at Native American patterns and I kind of put it on the hide of the snake. As you can see, the little shed skin that finally has its arms spreading out, it kind of looks like a tie, like a poker dealer. And it's obvious, but the tail is a roulette. And the hidden abilities. I made hidden abilities for a lot of my Pokemon, and a lot of them are broken, or they're so broken. Like, a lot of people would be so angry if they just like saw this and be like, "What are you thinking?" But you know what? I'm a designer first. I just think these abilities would be funny. So as you see more broken abilities down the line, it's just for fun. It's funny. So here's the original design for Vualaconda. As you can see, I kind of went crazy with the Native American inspiration there with the feathered headdress, but I found it like a little bit too tacky. So I kind of reserved the feathers for another Pokemon. I saved down the line. The tail wasn't really doing anything; it was kind of just writhing around. So I had the idea to make it into a roulette wheel. And yeah, it used to have horns, which was kind of show the dark side, like a devil horn. But I think it's just too much, so I kind of toned it down with the final design. Now, the water starters in Pokemon have always been a mix of land and sea dwelling animals, ones that can go on both. And so there's no better animal to represent San Diego than a sea lion. But you know what? Poplio beat me to the punch. So I'm like, what other sea animals that San Diego is famous for? Oh my god, we have SeaWorld. And so we have my design for Bay Whale, the little whale Pokemon, a water type. Bay whales store their thoughts and dreams in the bubbles that come out of their blowhole. When popped, these dreams manifest in the minds that witness them. Trainers use their bay whale to help them experience vivid imagery. Now, this design is very standard, a very friendly looking design, very round. I'd like to think that the bubbles come out of its head is kind of like that's how it uses to attack. A lot of water starters have bubbles as weapons, but I'm kind of just like rolling with it. Why not have another water starter that uses bubbles? But this one, you can kind of see how the orb will play into its typing later. And so here's the original sketch of it. Just one eye showing there. I didn't really like that. Kind of had made sense to have the other eye showing. I kind of cleaned up the pose a little bit. And so the patterning was kind of rough. How to make it not just orca patterning, like an orca pattern, but I feel like the cat mouth shape with the blue on the face, it kind of separates the white well in a more interesting way. And so we go on designing the middle evolution for this. And I decided to go with the angsty teen type. Not really as evil as Slywinder, but we have Sebation, the sea-based Pokemon, a water psychic type. The bulging head is formed by the Sebation's bubble fusing into it, making its psychic abilities more prominent. Many Sebation are mentally distressed when their predictions do not go their way, thus giving a sour mood. Many often communicate with deep, throbbing frequency bubbles. This is probably one of my favorite middle designs that I've made, simply because of the posing. Originally, I had the pose, you'll see later on, where it was just facing front, but I made it more interesting where it's like facing the back. The bubbles kind of resemble like earphones, how like a stereotypical teenager has earphones on it. And so yeah, this is water psychic type, a kind of strange combination. But as you can see later on, I do have a purpose for the typings. Later on, yeah, I'll explain it more. But yeah, here's the original design. Very rough. It's actually not even like showing any teeth. It just kind of looks like too boring to me, and the other fins kind of just look like lopped on there. So yeah, so you can kind of guess the theme with this Pokemon by now. With me saying it was performing arts earlier, I wanted it to be based off of musicians. San Diego has an amazing orchestra repertoire. They have a lot of grand big stages that many musicians or plays can happen on, like the Rady Shell. I've actually performed on that one. It's very beautiful. The view there is awesome. And so the Rady Shell is basically the one that inspired me the most because it is by the sea. And so what better way to represent underwater musicians than Orchestra, the Maestro Pokemon, a psychic water type. Its ability is Vivacissimo. It raises evasion after being switched in and sharply raises speed. Once an orchestra finely tunes their psychic telekinesis, they are able to control over 120 objects at once. The bubbles it produces can now produce a cacophony of sounds when burst. Now, this is a very personality first design when I made this. It looks very pompous, stuck up. The bubbles on its neck and head kind of look like a powdered wig from the 1800s or whatever. And it has violin holes on its stomach right there, and the tail kind of looks like a tail coat that most conductors wear. I kind of had a tough time deciding whether this would be a dark or a psychic type because orcas are really fierce in the wild, and the dark type would be like a very manipulating, controlling orchestra type. But I just figured psychic would work best because you ever see a conductor waving that stick around, bro? It looks like a magic wand. But yeah, I'm very happy with this design. Vivacissimo, it's a reference to musical movements. It gets faster after a movement, which is what Vivacissimo kind of means, like very, very fast. And so here's the original sketch for it. It looks very skinny. When I was designing it, I just wanted to make a reference to one of my favorite games, My Singing Monsters. There is a musical whale in that game. And so yeah, I just think it's a very solid water psychic type. Even though it's not purple, which a lot of psychic types are, I think it conveys it being psychic well with the big head. So with my last Pokemon, I kind of wanted to convey a story with its evolution. As my theaters teacher would say, it's better to be wrong and strong than to be weak and meek. And so what better describes weak and meek than my little Pokemon, Thornub, the tiny thorn Pokemon, a grass type. The flower on the Thornub's head will only bloom when the Pokemon finds itself. This pressure of getting it to bloom will often cause many Thornub to feel shame and embarrassment of a normal biological function. Trainers will often reassure their Thornub to lift their spirits. Typically, grass starters are based off of animals, but it was kind of hard putting an animal in a cactus. Of course, I had to do a cactus for a mostly desert region, which is Southern California, specifically the saguaro cactus. But I think it worked well with this. The petal kind of looks like a big baby cap. It's very shy looking. And it looks way better than my original concept art. I didn't even color this joint, bro. Look at it, bro. What was I thinking? You could really tell that I designed the last evolution first. And with our story, our little Thornub has finally found itself and evolved into Cactur, the performing Pokemon, a grass fighting type. Cactur will often express its emotions with grand gestures. When emoting, it will often accidentally knock around any surrounding Pokemon. Cactur are very popular among young trainers, and even old trainers as it reminds them of their youth. So, I have a very close musical theater background. I did in high school, went to a performing arts school. I just had to put like an acting Pokemon. That's like a little bowler hat, kind of like a Bob Fosse. And it's in a very expressive pose. The flowers have finally bloomed as a kid to its story. This little Pokédex. And yeah, I just really like the vibes this one gives out. So let's just review the personalities of our final stage evolution so far. We have a sly, tricky snake, a very pompous whale, and next we'll have a very stoic cactus. Succulastar, the sharp sheriff Pokemon, a fighting grass type. Its hidden ability, High Noon. The first attack will up attack and special attack after 3 turns. Speed will raise sharply. Once Succulustar mature, they will settle down in one territory and strictly protect it, and other Pokemon that inhabited it before it has settled. The thorns in its buds seem to have grown at an extremely rapid rate. My inspiration for this design was obviously cacti, but also spaghetti westerns and like hardened cowboy actors of Hollywood. The reason why Hollywood is where it is in Southern California is because it's close to so many good shooting spots. You're next to the coast, just a couple hours to drive through the mountains, next to a big desert where, shooting is basically okay there. There's nothing going on over there. So that's kind of basically why it's not in New York where you would think, but actually just on the other opposite side of the country. And I wanted to pay homage to that high acting life that Hollywood often is portrayed as. Succulustar here just got jaded by the high life it had as a character. So here's the original sketch of Succulustar. It's very lanky. It's way more like... Yeah, I really did not like how the silhouette looked. I like the more grounded look of the new design here. Still kept that cowboy hat though and the little poncho. But I kind of like. I wholly like the new change better. It's way better than what this stuff is. So here are my designs for my starters for the Dago region. I like to think they're pretty okay and diverse. For as designs. But I'm excited to show the other ones that I've cooked up. I just need to record the dang videos. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Comment what kind of like Southern California based Pokemon you want to see next. Yeah, thanks.